สดีค่ะสวัสดีอีกหนึ่งช่วงปรบมืออีกรอบหนึ่งได้ไหมคะ อยากจะเช็คว่าง่วงนอนกันจริงๆแล้วหรือเปล่านะคะเมื่อกี้นี้ก็เบรกกันไปเรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะเดี๋ยวเรายังมีอีก2หัวข้อที่น่าสนใจนะคะสำหรับในช่วงบ่ายนี้นะคะซึ่งสำหรับในหัวข้อนี้ค่ะก็เป็นในเรื่องของ Utilize Backup with Symantec OST และ Quantum DXi นั่นเองนะคะซึ่งสำหรับในวันนี้ค่ะเราก็ได้รับเกียรตินะคะซึ่งท่านมีตำแหน่งถึง Regional Director Quantum Storage South Asia นั่นเองนะคะซึ่งตอนนี้ค่ะท่านก็พร้อมแล้วด้วยต้องขอเสียงปรบมือต้อนรับมิสเตอร์ฟิลิปค่ะ
Okay. All right, good afternoon. Thank you all for coming in. I think, we wanted to set out this afternoon and kind of just look at some of the challenges with backup. All right, some of those challenges with new technology, with things like OST, how do we leverage those? All right. But really the thing with backup is, as you look back, all right, basically with backup, it actually hasn't changed very much. All right, you look at it, I've been doing backup for the last 10 years. All right. And you look at what we want to do, and actually it's still the same. Right, it's how do I take data from one location, move it to somewhere else, whether it's another place, whether it is another medium. All right. But yet, the challenges that are facing us are not so much the same. All right. It's like the T-shirt I saw yesterday when I was walking. Right, same, but different. All right. So this is different. Right. So if you look at it, it used to be. Right, when you talk about backup was basically tape. Right. Up until the middle half of the last decade, whenever you said backup, it's tape. What kind of tape? DLT, SDLT, LTO1, 2, 3, whatever. All right. That's changing. All right. 2006, we looked at it and we said, all right, disk prices were coming down, so let's bring in disk. All right. And Quantum, we were there with the early products, with the Pathlight VX, with the early backup to disk products. Right. So we went out and we said, we worked with our customers, we journeyed with our customers, and it was challenging. All right. Basically customers, all right, suddenly I've got 1 terabyte of data to back up. Hey, I want to put it on disk because I like the performance of disk. I like the reliability. I back up to disk, I never get a stuck tape. All right. I like the speed of restore. Right. But what I don't like is the amount of disk I need. Customers who had 1 terabyte of disk, suddenly they were going out and they said, I want to keep 30 days. I now need 30 terabytes of disk. All right. It's not as simple as it was. It's not as simple as we want it to be. So for about 4 or 5 years ago, we started introducing a deduplication product called the Quantum DXi. This is one of the early products in the deduplication space. All right. And this is a space where, at Quantum, right, we own the patent to one of the core technologies of deduplication. Right. We license that technology to companies like EMC. All right. So with deduplication, suddenly we are able to pull down address the issue of capacity. All right. Instead of keeping 30 terabytes of disk, you can now keep 30 terabytes of data in 5 terabytes of disk. All right. As we move ahead, what's going to be different? All right. Cloud. All right. In the last year, it is impossible to open up any computer, any IT magazine or publication, right, and not see the word cloud. Right. That's going to bring in new challenges. All right. Things like virtualization. So how do we handle virtualization? How is that going to make our jobs different? Not easier, not more difficult, but definitely different. Right. So one of the core technologies that's going to be in there is still going to be deduplication. Right. Now, I'm sure everybody in this room, you have heard a lot about deduplication in the last 24, 36 months. I said we've been talking about it for 4.5 years now. All right. So, but let's just take one step back. All right. We can talk about different types of deduplication, different vendors, different methods, pre-process, post-process. All right. But at the end of it, all vendors with deduplication try to do one thing. I try to put more data and store it in less disk. All methods of deduplication, all vendors, all right, will have to agree that deduplication needs processing power. All vendors, all methods will have to agree that deduplication involves building some kind of database to decide what's unique and what's not unique, right, and an index for that database, and there will have to be housekeeping on that database to see what's no longer relevant and whether we want to use it, whether we still need to keep that piece of data. Right. Where all the vendors will start to differ and differentiate themselves, really it comes down to where do we pay that deduplication tax? That tax in processing cycles, that tax in capacity. Right. Basically, your options are you can either do it on the server, you can do it on the backup media server, or you can do it at the target. Right. At Quantum, our approach is clear, and it has been since the very first release of our product. Right. And we would basically think the best place to do it is at the target. Right. This is the least disruptive. It doesn't impact your backup server, your backup agents, your backup servers, right? But it is a drop-in solution. Okay, and there you go. So we've been doing, as I said, we launched our first product 4 odd years ago. All right, and today we've just announced a few months ago the 2.0 release of our software. All right. The 2.0 release of the software is a revolutionary approach to how we are addressing deduplication. Basically, with 2.0, what we've done is that we've taken it and we've streamlined the data flow, making it much more efficient, making our writes much more simpler and shorter. Right. The other piece is, in the last, from the first generation product to the product that's available today, right, the hardware is vastly different. Right. So we are able to leverage on the new advances in hardware. Because we're an appliance, because we know exactly how much processor, how much memory, how much disk, what type of disk, right, we're able to fine-tune the software to leverage on this. Right. To leverage on the new Intel processors, to leverage on new disk technology. Right. Like, for example, in some of our products today, we include solid-state disk, right, to keep our databases and our index to make the process as fast as possible. Right. And we're also able to leverage on our own file system, right, which is the heart of the DXi product. Bottom line, what does that mean? All right. Nice features, but basically, what does that mean to you as a customer? All right. It means that bar none, with the DXi, you're looking at the fastest performance in any appliance, right, in the SMB, mid-range, or enterprise space. Right. Today, if you look at it, our SMB appliance, right, 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, right, today we are basically taking in data at an ingest rate of just under 2 terabytes an hour. This is entry level. 2 terabytes an hour for entry level, 6 terabytes for, just under 6 for the mid-range, just under 9 terabytes an hour for the enterprise. Right. That's a lot of data very, very quickly. Right. And the nice thing about 2.0 is, right, we've taken that, while we've improved all that, we've kept the best of what we liked from the 1.0 product. Right. We are still using a variable block deduplication technology. Right. Basically, variable block just means that as data comes in, we can look at data in sizes or in variable sizes. All right. Whether it's 2K, 4K, 12K, all right, or 714 bytes. What that means is, it is a much more efficient way of deduplication. Right. If you look at this chart here, this is basically a Microsoft Exchange backup. And what we've done is that over 1 day, whether fixed block, variable block, doesn't really matter. Extrapolate that out to 5 days. After 5 days, you can see the difference in fixed versus variable block. Right. This is why we are putting our money on variable block technology. And basically what it means is you get to do more with less. You get more data backed up in a smaller backup window. You get more data being retained in each appliance. And of course, one of the things that still remains unique with Quantum is our end-to-end view of the whole process, which is basically says that you're going to back up data to disk, but not all your data is going to stay on disk. Some of it needs to go out to tape. All right. There's a disk company that is very happy to come out and tell you that tape is dead. Right. The reality that you and I know, right, when we go out and as we do our jobs, is that tape is not dead. You still need tape. Right. Whether you need data for compliance, whether you need data for a remote site, right, whether you need data just because legal says that you have to keep it. Right. You need data for that 3, 5, 7 years, or whatever it is. Right. And the most logical place for that data is going to be on tape. Right. So tape has a place. Right. Granted, this is not 2006 anymore, and tape is not the only backup medium. Right. So you will need additional backup medium. You will need a place for archive, and that place is tape. Right. So with OST, all right, since Symantec introduced OST in, I think, the last version of its software, right, what we've done with OST is that we have leveraged OST for to maximize the performance of our product. All right. OST, as I'm sure you're aware, right, is the backup architecture and protocol for Symantec, both in net backup as well as backup exec. Right. So what we've done with OST, besides using it to besides using it to optimize the transport, right, we also take OST and basically plug it into the whole. Plug it into the whole architecture, all right, that brings you from disk to tape. All right. So, and we're the only vendor that does that today. What that means is, when net backup or backup exec, all right, kicks off a backup command, all right, it starts to move data into the DXI. Subsequently, you can then issue a command to say replicate it to another DXI. Right. And the DXI will push the data from one DXI to the other without going back through the media server. Likewise, Symantec can issue a command that says, take this backup set, cut it to tape. And again, we do it without going back through the media server. You do it basically with the lifecycle policies. So as soon as the backup job is done, replicate it. As soon as the job is replicated, cut it to tape. Today, we have this running in environments, like I said, both NBU as well as BE. The other really neat piece about OST is that it enables us to add in another piece of software, an agent,